A tape recorder. I've used one of these before. I'm gonna record my progress on this machine. And maybe someday, someone will hear this and find out what happened to me. My name is Caroline Walker. I came to this town to find help for my little sister, Anna. She does this thing where she draws terrifying images and somehow they become real. But it was all a trap. A huge nun knocked me out, and now they've taken Anna. I woke up looking like a pincushion, stuck with these thick needles. These people are sick. I need to find my sister and get away from here fast. I'm heading to the Lady Chapel, the last place I saw Anna. Maybe I'll find some clue there.
Tormented Souls 2 is coming in this year with a lot of other games that are aiming for that classic Resident Evil style gameplay in 2025. And honestly, I think it knows exactly what it's doing. Welcome in everyone, I'm Bailey with Jurassic Gaming, and today we're looking at the demo for Tormented Souls 2. So Tormented Souls 2 is a direct sequel to the original that dropped in 2021. It's developed by Dual Effect and published by P-Cube, and the demo just hit Steam on June 6th. There's no full release date yet, just a general late 2025 window, but it's planned for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Steam, Epic, and GOG. Now, I have a soft spot for survival horror, especially the PlayStation 1 and 2 era games, and the first Tormented Souls hit me right in the nostalgia. It truly felt like bringing the past back into the modern day and was one of the better examples of it. I also think it was probably the start of a recent survival horror resurgence in the indie market. I streamed Tormented Souls last year and I genuinely jumped more than a few times. So yeah, I came to this demo with high hopes. Tormented Souls 2 is set in Villa Hesse, a mountain town in southern Chile. The demo takes place in a nearby convent and it oozes horror from every corner, and little snippets at the end of the demo make it look like we might get a chance to explore the outside town as well. Caroline, the main character, has a stronger presence this time around, and the voice acting feels like a real step up from the last game. We also get to see how Anna is responding to, without spoiling too much of the first game, the events of the good ending. But we do get a brief intro to the plot where Caroline is trying to help Anna with some very clear after effects of the events of the first game. People Caroline thinks she can trust quickly show their true colors, and Caroline is back to finding a way to try to save her little sister. The convent is really unsettling, and I don't get how the girls could walk into this place and feel at ease. It feels more like a gothic mansion than anything else. Twisting hallways, locked doors, and environmental storytelling galore. It's exploration heavy but not aimless. The game helps nudge you in the right direction, especially early on with great use of darkness and enemies to guide the player. The puzzles are back and require actual thinking. One thing I'll always say about puzzles though is that if there's a puzzle that requires outside knowledge, the knowledge needs to be put in the game somewhere. For this, I'm speaking about the chess puzzle where you match the chess pieces to a note that has the movements with L, plus, stars, and things like that to describe the pieces movement to open a cipher. I understand most people know chess, but having a little note somewhere in the room to help people without the knowledge can go a long way. It's a little nitpick, but I do feel that it's harmless to have something like that there for people who need it. However, in some places they did do great about telling the player how to do things with the environment giving clues. One standout was having to piece together how to create a nail gun using a sign in the room for clues. No tutorial pop-up, just old school figured out vibes. Visually, Tormented Souls 2 is very similar to the first. Think creepy gothic environments, dark dungeons, and old school torture devices. It feels like you're wandering through a cursed museum. Environments are heavily detailed and beautiful, characters look great, and there seems to be a higher quantity of cutscenes than in the original game. Performance-wise, everything ran solid. I had a little stutter at the beginning of some cutscenes, but once I was in the game, everything ran smooth. There was no real bugs, no frame rate issues, or anything crazy like that. The sound design is what really pulls you in though. Ambient whispers, echoing wind, and just enough music to keep the tension simmering. There's this piano motif that plays in save rooms that honestly feels comforting and eerie at the same time. Think the Resident Evil 3 Nemesis save room. It's calm, but it still gives the feeling that something's right outside the door waiting for you. Speaking of the save room, I love that they kept the idea of Caroline narrating her thoughts into the save tapes. It's such a cool touch. It adds atmosphere and depth to her character while providing some context to the player if they take a long break or they miss some plot beats, just based on some character conversations. Like the first entry, the bulk of the gameplay is exploring, finding keys, solving puzzles, and fighting off enemies with a mix of melee and ranged weapons. It's classic survival horror with fixed camera angles and full 3D environments featuring a dynamic camera that can swoop through the environments and tilt as Caroline moves around. I'm a huge fan of fixed camera angles as we can get some artistic shots and the developers can make sure we see what they need us to see without having to pause the action. Like walking through this narrow corridor, just whispers in the background and the camera slowly twisting behind Caroline. It genuinely creeps me out. The stay out of the dark mechanic returns from the original where you need a lighter to survive, and you can light candles for extra safety or to switch to a weapon in case a monster arrives while you're exploring in the dark. The darkness gives an oppressive feeling and makes you consider if you can even fight an enemy where you are or if you need to run to just stay out of the shadows. Now, when it comes to controls, Dual Effect did something interesting. You can use the D-pad for classic tank controls or the analog stick for more modern 3D control system. And honestly, it felt great. They managed to avoid the issue with modern controls in a fixed camera game where characters shuffle around when a perspective switches. I'm not sure what they did, but their system seems to be the best I've seen outside of Fatal Frame's idea of just holding the run button with no direction input. They also added a quick swap feature with the right analog stick. You can assign certain items like weapons and the lighter to different directions, and the right stick can swap to them to help avoid a lot of menu hopping that happened in the original game and older titles in the genre. Combat is stiff but manageable. You aim with R2, attack with X, and there's even a dodge mechanic once you get the hang of it. You can also move while aiming a weapon and have full range of motion, but you move at a much slower pace. Enemies also seem faster and more aggressive than the original game, which I actually liked. It kept me on edge and actually led to a death in the demo when I got myself in a bad corner. The demo runs for about an hour and a half, and it feels like a polished slice of the actual game. If you're even remotely into old school survival horror, you need to check this game out. The devs clearly understand what made games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill work, and they're building on it with confidence. Tormented Souls 2 feels like the real deal. I'm hyped for the full release in 2025, and if you haven't played the original yet, now's a good time to fix that. Did you try the demo? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll have a link to the Steam page for the game in the description as well. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, maybe subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next time. Until then, keep your lighter handy. You'll never know what's hiding in the dark.